Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the grand finals of VGVN Next Random Release Tournament number 2. Before we go into the match ceremonies, we want to remind you guys about the opportunity to play in the next tournament. If you're watching and you say, hey, I think I could be one playing Hyped or Colento in the finals next time you guys are having a tournament, go ahead and register for the Open that's starting next Sunday on September 7th. Go to liquidhearth.com and sign up for Europe or North America region, and one seed from both will get one of the 2 spots in the Open, as well as the other 6 invites, 2 from this tournament and 4 in addition to what we've just seen. Imsh also will tell you a little bit about some of the other cool stuff coming up, including an anime.
So guys, the winner of this final will actually have an AMA on Liquid Hearth, so definitely check that out. And by the way, I'm hyped for this final. I'm hyped, I'm Colentoed. Those are the best players in the world, and they consistently prove that. A lot of people say, Frodan, that, hey, those people, those players that we invite to those tournaments, they are just being invited and they didn't achieve anything. And look here, like Colento and Hype, those players are consistently the first players on ladder, and in fact, those are the guys who are actually locked for top 16 for BlizzCon qualifier, respectively for their regions. Hyped is locked for a first place NA for sure. Even we don't know the results of the current month, but even if the results come in, Hyped is still locked for the first place as being a seed for the top 16 of the BlizzCon qualifier for NA. In Colento, possibly a second place or first place, depending on his score and his finish this month. So, well, looking at ladder, best players in the world, and right now they will be clashing here in the final of the best of 7 tournament. And well, I'm just amazed. Like, those players are really like the top of the top, and I'm sure we'll have a splendid game.
I cannot wait to start this series. Before we do, though, we want to remind you one last time about your chance to enter for the raffle about the Zeus Mini Cyber Power PC. Just go to the link at the bottom of the Twitch page or the one that you see right here as we go into the band screen and figure out what these guys have chosen to veto for the series. It's been Hunter all the way for both these guys. And of course, as we look at it right now, it seems like Hunter has been banned on both sides, leaving Hyped with the Miracle Rogue, his Druid, his Mage deck, and Warrior, and Colento bringing his own Druid, along with Shaman, Priest, and Paladin. Now, we're going to see a little bit of a mirror, but it's got some different flavors into it. For example, as much as we see Echoing Ooze and Defender of Argus as one of the main combos, we see Echoing Ooze and Mark the Wild for Hyped. And he's choosing not to go for Defender of Argus, instead using other tech cards like Big Game Hunter in his Druid deck.
Certainly an interesting build. One of his own, obviously, different than the build that Colento is running. And I'm really interested to see like how much of a mirror is it and how much difference the Defender of Argus is doing, because we discussed it before. Defender of Argus is one of the key cards in this Cloud9 Druid that Colento was running. And it really worked. Many times this card was doing a lot and bringing insane value to the combinations of cards that he's using. And the Hyped actually decided not to play it. He is running Big Game Hunter, so he makes this matchup a bit better against Handlock or against the decks that are actually running big minions. But I'm not sure how it will actually fare against and Colento really stable build. On the other hand, this matchup is all about innervates and about a start and trades, a lot of decision making, what to kill, when to push with damage. So certainly a pretty interesting game. And by the way, we are not going to see Hunter anymore in this tournament for sure. Hunter was denied this tournament. I think like yesterday Hunter did 0-1. This is the score that we had yesterday. So I guess Hunter is not the OP class. Balanced. 100% losses.
Yeah. Well, no, in Group B, we had several Hunter games where there was a pretty lopsided series because of Hunter, but sometimes Hunter doesn't win all the time. And either way, it's not going to be a factor in this series. Game number 1 is about to begin with Druid versus Druid, and boy, will it be an important one, because then you get to get the advantage of picking classes in stronger matchups as opposed to you not having the final say. Hyped is going to be starting off on the coin with Innervate, so it seems to be a very explosive start, but he doesn't have some of those early game minions just yet, other than being able to push out something very early on turn with a 5-mana cost card.
Well, he has Innervate and Coin, which is pretty cool, but on the other hand, Colento has the Haunted Creeper, he has Harvest Golem, and he has Wrath, which will help him to ensure the early game start. And he has Nation of Lore as a card to refill on turn 7. So it looks pretty good for Kolento, even though Hyped actually got a Harvest Golem, which will be really important here. Is he going to innervate Harvest Golem? That's the thing. Oh, he decides not to.
I feel like putting out something on turn 2 that's 5 mana cost. You have Harvest Golem on turn 3, or even if you have something on turn 4 mana cost next turn, you can innervate out that, and then push out Harvest Golem on turn 3, and then have coin into a 5-drop. So Hype has a couple of choices here.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like the Spectral Knight play. Certainly, it's hard. It's really hard to remove Spectral Knight. Wrath won't work on him. So what are you even going to do here, being Kolento? So just attack for 2 and see the Spectral Knight slaughtering the Oozes.
You might have to just ignore and let your board presence just kind of carry you, and really hope he doesn't have something like Swipe to continue to like fight the board. Hyped also is picking up other creatures to fill out his curve. It's so important that if you're playing Innervate, that you have a way to kind of fix out your curve. Otherwise, if you're just hero powering, then you effectively wasted your Innervate turn.
He was also able to pick up Ancient of Lore, which is pretty important because now the hand size and the card quality for both players is pretty even. But because of the Innervate, it seems like Hyped is actually winning the board position.
One thing that is important to note is that Kolento will be an additional mana compared to his opponent. He is going to have to Wrath and trade it a little bit. So that way he's not losing too much damage. But he will be hitting his combo turn a little bit earlier than Hype. That's something to keep in note. It seems like it'll come down to one of these really explosive finishes.
What do you think about those Oozes, by the way? When it was first introduced, the card didn't seem that exciting. It's just a 1/2 that copies itself, maybe a combo potential, but here we can see that even though it's not being buffed, it's still a full board, and it's kind of swipe-proof as well, because Swipe will not be able to remove it that well.
Yeah, I like Echoing Ooze a lot, although sometimes it kind of unimpresses me. I like the fact that it makes the board pretty annoying to deal with, but when you're playing like this deck against Paladin and then they consecrate you with no Defender of Argus or any way to buff it, it feels a little inconsequential. I sometimes feel like it's like the miniature version of Razorfin Hunter, which is the 3-drop that summons the 1/1 boar. But this, with the combo potentials that you have on its effects, it's pretty cool. Like the Mark of the Wild, for example, on Echoing Ooze puts out 2, 3, 4 taunters for 4 mana. It's pretty bananas.
Also, I think like the mana difference is actually making all the difference in the world here. Like, because this costs only 2, and Razor for Hunter is 3 mana. Look at Unleash the Hounds. How good it was when it was 2 mana, and now it's 3 mana. It's still good, but it's very different.
Sure, and it inserts into a slot of the deck mana-wise that it's very easy for Druid to kind of sneak in. 2 mana allows him to always have the opportunity to innervate things out. And Hyped is also going to start playing cleanup, by the way, because there's just way too many threats. He doesn't want to have the displeasure of dying to Savage Roar very quickly, as we saw Trump be a victim to that.
And he picks Shade of Naxxramas, pretty nice. Now he will be able to play Shade and Haunted Creeper, or Lothep, depending on what he really wants to do. And this is what we talk about. Decisions. What are you going to do? Are you going to trade? Are you going to kill Haunted Creeper and kill the spiders? And open yourself for Swipe? Are you going to push with 4 points of damage? Well, right now he actually decides to trade, because after playing Lothep, Swipe will not be played, so he is in a good position. And those Oozes are so annoying, with Spectral Knight being forced to trade to attack into them at some point. They're just tanking damage.
Yeah, and this really disincentivizes Hype from just allowing to play something like Lothep, because then the Oozes are able to trade into Spectral Knight pretty easily. And generally speaking, it seems like when a Druid player is able to capitalize on Innervate early, that his opponent is going to be thrown off the rest of the game, but Kolento has managed to seize back the board.
Savage Roar. Savage Roar is such a good card in here. Is so much damage, and that Shade of Naxxramas, which is only a 2/2, is really not exciting that now. So Kolento is able to push Hyped to 13 points of health, which is in range. And next turn he will just play Ancient Flora and refill his hand. He has the board, he has an advantage, he has the tempo, he has everything he needed here.
Yeah, and that's why there is something to be said for having that extra mana. He's going to be hitting his Ancient of Lores quicker. He's going to have a 5/5 that needs to be answered on the board. And Kolento is going to have this opportunity to draw into this game-ending combos.
Another Shade of Naxxramas. That Shade of Naxxramas can actually stay on board and patiently grow. And Savage Roar again. Savage Roar with Shade is so cool.
With Savage Roar, I think you just pass then, right? Because then you have the damage next turn if you can't answer it.
Yeah. I think you just pass unless you feel like you can maybe draw into something. Oh, that's fine as well, I guess.
He's being safe and making sure to not allow his opponent to have any way of coming back. Then Hyped has to use this Ancient of Lore more as a heal as opposed to draws. And that feels so bad. Because, again, he is the one that's... now the card advantage is evened out. But then Kolento also has ways to pressure. He draws a second Ancient of Lore. Kolento is so far ahead now.
Yeah, and he can easily draw cards. There's no way to... no need to heal. And he can even push with damage here. He can just ignore this 5/5. He has so much advantage. And he put Hyped in a position where Druid never wants to be in. And a position where you have to defend yourself and clear the board at the same time. And in this situation, you're kind of in a situation where you have to play only one card each turn. He gets a Keeper of the Grove, so he will be able to swipe and Keeper. But doesn't even work well. I guess he can clear. But he knows that next turn is turn 9, and if Kolento has the full combo, again, Force of Nature plus Savage Roar, he's just dead.
Which means Lotheb will have to kind of be played, but your opponent's still pressing for damage, and there are ways to put in other damage besides just spells. It's looking pretty bad for Hyped, especially if a turn like Spectral Knight and Defender of Argus comes out. I don't know how Hyped can kind of come back from this position.
Do you think that a possible play was to actually play Keeper of the Grove and swipe and just gamble your life away? Like, if there is a combo, I'm dead, but if there is no combo, maybe I can actually survive.
Picking up the Druid Claw, it makes an even better choice to put out 11 damage, and now swipe to the face is lethal, even if he clears the board. Hyped is no longer really being able to stay in this game. There's just way too much pressure.
This only proves how strong this Druid is. Like, both of the Druid decks here are so powerful. And Hyped is in a situation where he has to hope that there is no swipe on his opponent's side, but it looks bad for him. He's just dead.
There it is. Kolento takes game number 1 and wins the mirror match, and Hyped will have to turn to something else. And getting the series lead is very important, so you can always pick the right counter deck into a good matchup percentage. Hyped immediately goes for his warrior deck, which, you know, having like the slow taunts and the big minions to kind of answer the faster druid is one way to deal with it, but I'm always in the back of my mind afraid of how Innervate and Savage Roar can always shred apart your armor as a warrior, and you're never able to use Shield Slam. You might just die really fast.
Oh yeah, certainly. He has a lot of answers though. He has a lot of cards that are helpful, like Armor Smith, Unstable Ghoul, a lot of life gain as well. But he has to draw into them. If after the mulligan he's stuck with cards like Kel'Thuzad or Cairn, Sylvanas, if he never sees his Sludge Belchers, he might put himself in a situation where he's just looking Kolento in the eyes and then waiting for the final blow. And Kolento's deck is so stable. If he is not getting a 2-drop, it means that it's a really bad draw, but mostly he is getting those 2-drops, and sometimes even he gets those sick openings that we've seen in a Kolento versus Trump game, where he just opens with his whole hand, playing 6 minions at the same time, or 5 minions, like double Ooze and Haunted Creeper.
Yeah, the Echoing Oozes definitely did work there, just, again, making it really difficult. Hyped also got pretty unlucky after the first start where he drew like all the heaviest cards in his deck without ways to kind of he didn't have access to the lower end cards, and I think Colento also leveraged his board position very nicely. Now Hyped goes into game number 2 with his warrior deck. Let's find out if it's able to keep up with the druid pace, or is he going to get roared out of the game? In true Colento fashion in Cloud9's deck building has proven strong. I think it's actually fun that it's like a Tempo Storm versus Cloud9, two of the top teams in Hearthstone, and the casters are from Cloud9 and Tempo Storm as well. So there's a little rivalry going on.
Rigged.
Oh, certainly. Hype picks a Fiery War Axe, which is an important card to answer most of the threats early game, but the Death Rattle minions do make this card pick up way less value, but it's important for Cruel Taskmaster to also clean up stuff.
Yeah, Cruel Taskmaster is definitely a cool card, as well as Fiery War Axe. But Alexstrasza will be a dead card, mostly. By turn 9, the game might be actually over. So it will be interesting to see if the card is being used. On the other side, Colento, a pretty strong Innervate and to Harvest Golem. He has Haunted Creeper, so he has a follow-up, and he will be able to deal damage. Well, basically, the first turns are mostly about pressure and trying to limit the damage from Druid as much as possible. And Hype really wants the for turn 5 to hit as soon as possible. And then Faceless also a cool card, because if Sludge Belcher remains undamaged, or like if it stays at almost full health, he will be able to use Faceless as like a third Sludge Belcher in his deck to be able to stop Colento's advance.
Hype's going to need a little bit more help here with his draws, but unfortunately there's a lot of bad draws that can come into his hand right now because of the nature of this warrior deck. So far he's just got really nothing to do.
Shieldblock is a nice pickup because turn 4 was kind of dead. Right now, Shieldblock is a card he can play.
It also feels slightly dead because of, I mean, you do draw and you cycle, but then you're not really able to kind of capitalize on the armor because most likely it'll go down. In fact, Hype is passing here with the armor up, so that way he can use Shield Block, Shield Slam against cards like Ancient of Lore or Lotheb. Just kidding, you can't use it against Lotheb because of the spells. But in the future turns, if something like that opportunity comes.
Certainly a smart play. And right now he doesn't feel that threatened. He knows that he will be playing good cards like the Sludge Belcher on turn 5, maybe Faceless into something on turn 6. For sure, Alexstrasza and the Black Knight are kind of dead right now, but the Shield Block will come in handy. Death Spite. Oh, Faceless into a 4/6 Spectral.
Okay, that's one way to fight against the board. Keep in mind, Black Knight also does get value now that Defender of Argus wants to go down on so many of these targets, and Colento is aware of that. If you play Defender of Argus on Spectral Knight, it's resistant against pretty much everything except a Black Knight. Or a silence of some sort with a battle cry. So he has to be very mindful not to overextend onto the board like that.
Well, right now Colento can just push, play Shade of Naxxramas, Shapeshift, and attack Warrior for 8. Because even if the Spectral Knight kills the Shade of Naxxramas, you still have Keeper of the Grove that will be able to just deal 2 points of damage to the Spectral Knight and finish it. Hype dropping to 15 points of health.
Ooh, well, he's trying to get ahead of it, pay his life now, so that way he can even utilize Swipe next turn, because Spectral Knight won't likely be healing. And this is really intelligent once again from Colento, so that way his cards can be optimized, and he doesn't have to worry about the Spectral Knight in the future turns.
That's something that the top players are using. It's called preemptive shapeshift. So you are attacking with shapeshift so that you set up your play for the next turn where you will be able to use shapeshift again to your advantage. It's it seems simple, but it's actually very complicated to be able to play it in a good way and use it. So pretty smart play from Colento here. He set up the board in a way that's useful for him, and just continues to remove the cards that Hype is playing and putting Hype really low.
By the way, Colento has Savage Roar, which means Hype could die as soon as next turn if he doesn't do anything or draw into a very critical card here.
Well, I feel like Shield Block is the card you want to play right now.
Yeah, it's not pretty, but you have to kind of play defensive as much as possible. Maybe pick up something like Undead Ghoul, at least to throw inside the path and gain a little health. Hype's in a really difficult spot, though.
Another option is to just play Black Knight, but just, you know, to have a body on board. But still, it's 7 points of damage, 8 points of damage you're staring at. So 6 left. With Shapeshift, it's 5. So I think you must actually do something defensive here, because you might be staring at that Savage Roar, which will be lethal. Yeah, Death Bite. It's pretty annoying that Death Bite actually doesn't work. It's you can't attack into anything and have value. You will be able to do it next turn. But wait, is that it? How much damage is this?
That's 8 plus 6, 14 plus 2 from the Defender of Argus for Keeper. That's going to be a little bit short, as Hype's at 19 health. But I think in the overall picture, how are you able to kind of weather this storm? Grommash can come as removal, but then Hype's still losing health next turn. Can't even execute cleanly.
If you play Grommash, kill the 4/4, kill the 4/5, you're dead anyway. Is there a way? Like Lotheb, again, a snowball card. You just put yourself in a position where you're winning, and then you play Lotheb to ensure your win next turn. Is going to play Grommash, but that's it if I'm counting correctly.
It should be, because Savage Roar is able to win the game, and Hype realizes that there's no way for him to escape out of this one, which means Kolento jumps out to a 2-0 lead. It's been one-sided for this Druid deck that Kolento's been pushing out, as I believe this is his 9th game that he's won with the Druid deck, at least, or maybe even 10th. I've kind of lost count at this stage. Kolento's up to a 2-0 lead.
Well played from for both players, but Kolento is really using that Druid in an excellent manner. He knows all the matchups, and it's also hard to play against it if you haven't tested against it. And I feel like this deck wasn't that popular lately. I mean, it got popular when Kolento published it on Twitter, but at the day the tournament was played, I'm not sure if Haup was actually able to play many games against it. Well, right now he pretty much knows the list, but still, how do you answer this? How do you play around Shade of Naxxramas? What's important, what's not important? Even though the deck seems pretty simple, there is a lot of decisions that you have to make. Like, do I attack into Coin Goose, or do I leave it? Like, do I life gain, or do I clear? What do I actually do against it? And right now, Hype is taking his trusted Miracle Rogue that was pretty deadly versus Trump.
Yeah, he needs this deck to beat the Druid deck. And if he can, just look at the rest of the classes that Kolento has. It feels like the Miracle Rogue also is favored against the rest of Kolento's lineup, but this Druid deck is capable of giving Miracle Rogue one hell of a time. If you innervate out Spectral Knight, then they aren't able to really deal with it, and you just keep pushing for damage, and Savage Roar ends the game. Just the kind of same game plan that you have every single time, that classes have a difficult time removing your minions, and you're able to press in. Game number 3 is about to begin. Hype needs to win here, or Kolento will jump out 3-0. And I almost feel like it's almost impossible to come back from that scenario, because Hype will have to win 4 with his Mage deck, which seems to be one of those specialty snipe decks as opposed to one that can clean sweep an opponent.
Well, on the other hand, he actually got Gadgetzan and a coin, so it seems like a good start. He's thinking about keeping Farseer as well, I believe. He's mulliganing Farseer. So SA7, oh my god, this is the best starting hand I've seen in this situation.
Well, look at Kolento's hand. He's got turn 3 Spectral Knight. He's got turn 2 Echoing Ooze, turn 3 Spectral Knight. And then if he picks up Defender of Argus, like in the next 2 draws, that would be absolutely devastating, because I don't know how Hype would be able to answer all of it.
Well, Kolento needs more minions, for sure. Just Echoing Goose and Spectral Knight is not enough. He has free spells in his hand, so he needs something else. And Hyped, how is he going to play here? Is he going to play SA7 right now? Coin backstab SA7? I feel like it's you're losing too much. Maybe just coin SA7.
Yeah, the backstab will still be there. There's no way for... Well, there is a way for Druid to buff it, but it's very unlikely that he'll innervate out any kind of defender of Argus. So you still have an opportunity to backstab. You're not really worried about that 1 damage. All right, Kalento picks up a 4-cost minion, which is important to stay on curve, so that way you're able to continue to pressure.
Yeah, that's a pretty nice pickup. And Hyped is in a situation where might have to use his backstep here. Is he able to clear the 4-6? I don't think so.
Not as far as I see. Even if you use Shadow Step and like hero power, it's gonna be tricky.
Yeah, it's how do you even kill it now? Because if being Miracle Rogue, you have to kill it with minions, and Kalento as the Keeper of the Grove, it's so good for him.
Yep.
The Spectral Knight might be just win the game.
He needs Blade Flurry and something else. Gnomish Inventor can add some damage. He's got spell power for way to continue to peck it apart, but I was telling you, Spectral Knight, one of the hardest cards for Miracle Rogue to ever deal with. SI7 Ancient and Shadow Steps might be the way to kill it off here.
And he picks up Harvest Golem, which is perfect with the Wrath he's holding. So he's able to clear the 2-4, play Harvest Golem, extend his board, and attack with a 4-6. He's actually going for the Savage play.
Okay.
I guess he's
constantly pressuring his opponent, and he's making sure that this Spectral Knight takes or does the most damage as possible. I like it. You know, most players again would go for a little bit of a setup, but Kalento is going for the win here.
He's also playing around Blade Flurry, which is the only way to actually answer that Spectral Knight. But here, what do you even do? And right now, the Keeper of the Grove can't even be backstabbed. Do you fun of knives and do you play
the draw and Gadgetzan pulls you out of this one. He draws Preparation, number 2. He can do some cool stuff. Gets Sap. Again, Spectral Knight's so resistant to these kinds of things. And he's trying to force the Spectral Knight to trade into the Gadgetzan, but this is Kalento's opportunity to swipe it and continue to press for damage.
That Spectral Knight is just going to finish this game.
Exactly. From start to finish, this guy has gone untouched because Miracle Rogue cannot do anything because Kalento's drawn the perfect removal to answer every single minion on the board.
And Hype doesn't have a Deadly Poison. He doesn't have the Blade Flurry. He has no way to answer this Spectral Knight. And that's almost it. Kalento has 8 points of damage next turn.
You got 9 actually with the Druid the Claw and hero power. I don't know if he can pull us out of this one. Kalento is going to put him down to 1 HP. And Hype looks like he's going to drop 0-3. And Kalento's aggression, once again, is in danger of ending this series early.
This is so incredible. The turn 3 Spectral Knight just single-handedly killing Miracle Rogue. I'm sure that Hype is feeling so helpless right now.
He's kind of able to do something finally, but the 1 damage is gonna be a lot because he can't really stop that 1 damage from coming down, no matter what he tries to do. If he was a little bit more health, maybe. But now Hyped is down 0-3 and has to turn to his Mage deck. And let me tell you, Mage against a fast Druid that has heals and taunt capabilities is gonna be a little tough for Hyped here.
And how does Mage actually fare against that Druid, then Shaman, then Priest, and then Paladin? Do you think Hyped actually has a shot for a 4-0 here with this Mage?
I want to say there's a possibility. You know, Frost Nova and Doomsayer is one way, I guess, to answer things like Shaded Nex Rammus and Spectral Knight. But it's the same concept as what Druid has against normal Freeze Mage. Keeper of the Grove is great against Doomsayer. Spectral Knight is resistant to any kind of spells. The fact is you can heal out of range of like a lot of potential burn, even if you feel like you're out of threat. If your opponent has a big threat with fireballs. And you have combo-ending damage with Savage Roar. Druid's one of the best decks to bring against Mage in general.
Also, it seems that Hyped actually, he doesn't run any taunt givers. He has a couple of taunts, but mostly has a lot of slow cards. So if he is not able to draw into any early game, he might have a serious trouble. And then he has a lot of cards that actually don't have taunt. So, you know, playing Kern on turn 6 or playing Sylvanas on turn 6 might be just a dead play that won't stop Kolento from just winning the game right there.
Yep, this is the deck that StrifeCrow has given Kolento, and Kolento was able to use it to climb to #1 in EU. And now he is in prime position just to end this series 4-0 in dominant fashion. He's won, I don't even know, he won 7 games in the pre-games, in the group stages, and now 3 here. Kolento is just destroying this entire tournament with this deck. And now Hyped has to go to Mage. Let's go to Game 4 and find out if Hype can turn us around. It's only been 20 minutes since the final has started, and yet it's almost over.
Well, it's playing against Kolento. Last time I was playing against Kolento in France. In 20 minutes, I lost 500 euros because he eliminated me from the top 3. So that was pretty tough.
I can imagine so. Hype has a pretty okay start. He's got Twilight Drakes and Arcane Intellects, but he's going to need a little bit more help. The nice thing is that this Mage deck does have some AoE clears like Flame Strikes, Blizzards, Frost Nova again to delay, but couldn't he stop Kolento's aggression?
Well, right now he got the cards that we mentioned. The cards that are pretty much dead. Twilight Drake is... it's good that he has Arcane Intellect, because he will be able to draw into something, maybe. Slash Belcher, also a card that he wanted to draw. Twilight Drake might do some trading, but on the other hand, attacking with your Twilight Drake into those 1-2 oozes just feels so painful. And Kolento's hand is pretty good. He has almost everything he needs. And Blizzard and Flame Strike are pretty nice. Good pickups here.
Yeah, don't forget that Molten Giants are also one of those things where if you get Ice Block, Molten Giants, Druids, or at least Kolento is not running something like Big Game Hunter. And if you can't take care of all those Giants, there are opportunities for you to swing. Hype is also piecing together some of his AoE removals in combination with Doomsayer.
Well, if Hype actually gets Frost Nova next turn, it might be pretty good for him. There is no Keeper of the Grove for Kolento, so a Frost Nova Doomsayer might be deadly. But right now he has to think what I'm going to do. What is the follow-up? What is Hype actually playing?
Like, well, this is a test for Keeper of the Grove right here, because most likely Keeper of the Grove goes down on Twilight Drake, and then you just lose your 4-drop for one of these Echoing Oozes. But now he doesn't see anything like that, so I think Doomsayer is going to be much more empowered. He's going to need a top deck Keeper of the Grove.
He's turn 5. Sludge Belcher is a good card here, and yeah, this is what I mentioned. Like attacking into into a half of a card. The Twilight Drake. It seems so wasteful. So being
Kolento picks up Carvus Golem, which isn't exactly great at the moment. Druid the Claw just kind of outmeasures it. You can push for more damage.
Do you think he is expecting Blizzard this turn? Could be.
I think this deck's already proven it's kind of unique. Ooh. You know, that move is actually not going to pay off whatsoever because Blizzard's going to pretty much take everything out except for the 2-1 damage golem. Yeah, Kolento not really accounting for this. Trying to keep Echoing Ooze as healthy as possible so that way he can have a 1-2 and spread out damage. But now Hyped has a chance here because he's taken away a lot of the aggression and only 5 damage has been dealt.
That's certainly true, and Hyped still has a lot of cool cards in his hand. He will be able to use Flame Strike a couple of turns in the future. Right now, he took out the board, so he is able to play some cards which are a bit slower. He has 22 points of health, which is still fine. He should he should feel safe. He can play his current to develop the board and not lose that much health on from Kolento. So, well, it will be too far-fetched to say that it's looking good for Hyped. But certainly he was able to stop the early advance, and maybe this will put himself in a position that has actually advantages.
Yeah, if you're in Hype's position too, you need to also be mindful of ways your opponent can just end the game soon. So eventually you're going to have to drop Ice Block.
How much are you afraid of Salvage Roar?
Very. There's 2 copies most likely in the deck. Savage Roar off the top, if you just kill off 1 minion, is 6 plus the 6 here, so 12. And then with like Swipe, you might just die here.
Yeah, it certainly will be very close.
Yep.
So, well, Flame Strike would be awkward. So definitely, I wouldn't cast Flame Strike. Just, I guess, draw the cards. Duplicate seems fine as well. Maybe draw cards first, see what you get, and then decide.
Hey, still might get Frost Nova Doomsayer or something equivalent to that.
Well, no Frost Nova for him.
Yeah, Ice Block feels like it has to come down. I love the choice of Doomsayer. It's another way to just gain health. Most likely it'll die. But even then, you're still kind of setting up so that way he has to choose between giving up his board or giving yourself a little life. Unless he has Twilight Drake. Or sorry, not Twilight Drake. Keep it the Grove.
Good thing for Hyped is that if Doomsayer triggers, Bane will be actually able to attack. Or no, wait, he won't be able to attack because it's start of turn. So Colento can actually ignore the Doomsayer. He can attack for 6, maybe play Harvest Golem even. Shapeshift.
Is he sensing something like Ice Block or Molten Giants, you know? And then is he taxed too far deep into it? He's going to deal with a huge Molten Giant turn. And then all of a sudden, he doesn't have enough removal for all the Giants, and he hasn't popped Ice Block. And it gets a little scary. Konto, by the way, tests for Mirror Entity, but he sees it doesn't. The secret is not triggered.
So yeah, he's choosing to go for phase actually. Would you expect Molten Giants here? Because Molten Giants are kind of like a deck card. It's really hard to say if they are somewhere in the deck or not. And if Frost Nova finally comes.
Oh man, Frost Nova.
This turn will be huge. He can play so many good cards. He can play double Molten, Duplicate, and Frost Nova.
Can he fit all of that? Oh, he's gonna be a little mana short.
4, 7. Can he do it if he pings his face? Like, Fire Blast his face. Own face to play Molten Giants for 1 only.
I don't think so. One thing to kind of keep in mind, though, is that this deck is more of a surprise factor. The fact that now you see Molten Giants, Colento has a few games, even if he loses this one, he has a few games to kind of figure out a way around it and make sure to play to avoid these Molten Giants. Double Swipe, by the way, allows him to deal with one of these Giants, which is very effective. And Hype still has to figure out a way to kill his opponent.
Well, Colento is sitting comfortably on 30 points of health. So he is in a good situation, but he is stopped right now. So his advance was stopped, and Hype is just playing those minions and putting himself in a situation where he has the board, he has the ice block. So Colento would have to draw the combo. With the combo, he would be able to pop the ice block and maybe put himself in a situation where he can win next turn.
All right, well, he's forced to use Force of Nature as removal in order to deny his opponent from being able to get optimal amounts of damage and also kill off Sylvanas before anything else happens. And this is still going to give Hype some opportunity to build up the board a little bit, play Duplicate, and get some traction off of whatever minion dies.
It's interesting how Colento actually slowed down, and right now he's playing more of a board control game. Because he feels like he's safe at 22 points of health. So he clears the board to give himself an opportunity to have a couple of more turns to actually draw the cards and be able to deal those last points of damage. Innervate, pretty nice pickup in here. Playing a Chevlor to draw cards. He will be able to play a Spectral Knight.
Wow. Pair of Spectral Knights and Innervates. And Spectral Knight is a card that Hype can deal with this time around.
Yeah, he has a lot of tools, but he's also running out of cards, and he won't have any ways to draw more. He can get something from Duplicate, but will it be enough?
I mean, this is exactly what Duplicate's for, though. It gives you more minions to play throughout the course of turns. The Twilight Drakes do get stronger if you're able to pile up the cards. But it's a legitimate question. He's used up some of his best minions already. Karen and Sylvanas have already been thrown in.
And double Molten Giant as well. So he is going to just continue building his board and pushing with damage here.
Wow, tempo play. I like it.
Colento is still short of being able to close up on Hyped and be able to get the ice block out. So he is still fighting the board control game.
All right, Lothab does introduce a really big problem because he can't flame strike immediately.
How much damage does he have? It's 10. So he's still short, and we know that he's not running any fireballs or any pyroblast. Cone of Cold. This is a sick.
Oh, Colento didn't play around Cone of Cold.
Oh, he certainly didn't.
Nope, he didn't put his Spectral Knights in the middle, but how many times are you expecting this card to actually do work?
Especially after Lothab.
Yeah. Oh no.
Colento's expression is so sour. And Savage Roar is a cool card, but wait, that's it.
Yeah, he's completely frozen. He can't do anything. And Hyped is going to be able to do 11
He's one
damage
damage
next
off
turn.
lethal.
He just needs to pair off another point of damage.
Polymorph is not it, but still, Flame Strike is almost clearing the board. And he can just deal 11 points of damage here. And he still has Ice Block, so he will be super safe. Well, Hyped Mage is actually doing a lot of work.
There you go. He's able to almost guarantee himself a win unless Colento top decks something amazing here.
Ancient Flower is actually amazing, but it's not changing the board state. So Hyped pulled himself, grinded himself into a position where he's actually going to kill Colento's Druid.
Oh man. Well, Colento has learned a great deal about this deck. He's seen double Moltens, he's seen Cone of Cold, he's seen the Twilight Drakes, and actually he hasn't seen the Secrets in action though, but he can suspect one of them is Ice Block. And so now he can go and deconstruct it for other decks that he has.
And he still has 4 more decks?
He has 3 more decks to work with. He's got Paladin, Priest, and Shaman. Shaman will be his one of choice. You have ways to combat and pressure early. You have Light Earth Shock also to unfreeze your minions in case you need to push for damage. Seems like a decent choice.
It's like fighting Handlock. You just want to have the Earth Shock for Twilight Drake, and you want to have those hexes. But yet again, that duplicate thing, the duplicate play, when even if you Earth Shock one Twilight Drake, it can actually return. So
true.
I would definitely give edge to Colento here. But still, Hype is proving all the time that his mage deck is pretty cool. He knows how to play it. That's a very interesting build. And he got to the first place legend in NA with this deck recently. So a potent deck, a potent player against like one of the best players in the world facing now. I'm really hyped for this game.
All right, well, game number 5 is about to begin. Can Hyped complete a 4-3? Or will Colento close it out here? Keep in mind, duplicate is great, but, you know, if you hex and you kill off a minion, they're getting 2/0/1 frogs in their hand.
Well, Colento with a poor start, no coin, no early drops, and Hyped is having a dream hand, let's say. He only needs Arcane Intellect. So no Arcane Intellect, but still Mad Scientist, a pretty good 2-drop. He has the coin, he will be able to drop Water Elemental early. Such Belcher, always a good card on turn 5. And Ragnaros to seal the deal. So a pretty nice hand. On Colento's side, well, it doesn't look that good.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, his mid game seems to have a lot of decent cards, but at least he has ability to totem up and be annoying as possible.
Do you think like we are actually going to see a comeback similar to what Reels did in the last final? So
that would be pretty cool. But it's very difficult against someone like Colento. Colento's been just relatively unstoppable. And people might look at his Druid deck and like, well, is he getting carried just by that Druid deck? He also won 3 in a row against Tice with his Shaman deck and showed proficiency with other kinds of non-Druid decks. So I feel like Colento has a very good chance to just close out the series. But I'm not going to rule out a possibility that Hype comes back here.
Well, certainly Colento is playing all the classes. He is playing so much in so many games in ladder. Well, consistently getting the first place in ladder even after dropping below 100 is such a difficult feat. You really have to know how the metagame works and how all those deck works. So yeah, this might be a pretty tough match for both of those players.
All right. Well, his hand is really starting to pick up in quality. He's got hexes for the inevitable mid-game threats. He's got Azure Drake to keep up going, and Lightning Storm might be really important for how often this mage wants to fight minions on minions.
Sludge Belcher is such an interesting card. Do you hex it? But if you hex it, you know that you have so many good hex targets.
Yeah, you know he has Karen Sylvanas. I mean, he got so much information that he can really start to pick apart what kind of cards he wants to use Hex for.
Yeah, but still, even with information, you might be forced to use it before, even if you don't like it. Like, Sylvanas is definitely target you want to Hex.
True, and I don't know if this is a duplicate, by the way, but I didn't get to see if it was if duplicate was glowing in Hype's hand. If it was, then it's already been played. But if it's Ice Block, then he can't get any copy of it. But the more important thing to note is that if he hexes this and kills it off, he's just gonna get 2 frogs in the hand, which is very useless.
Yeah, that would be sick. So it's a good way to play around. But if it's a counter spell, then Colento's in a bind.
That is true. Colento's afraid of counterspell or something similar to it, Spellbender.
Well, you have to take your chances, I guess. Like playing Rockbiter to just test the waters. So is it a duplicate? It's not.
Nope.
So it's
it
a nice
looks
block,
like it's a nice block. Playing
Nerubian instead of... oh, I guess it's fine, yeah.
He's being careful not to overextend into AoE. He's seen Flame Strike, he's seen Blizzard.
And speaking of Flame Strike, so being hyped, you actually missed. You don't have many more minions. It seems like you won't be able to play Ragnaros this turn. You won't be able to play Molten Giant anytime soon. You can't draw any more cards. Seems like your hand is not that good anymore. And on Colento, he still has some drawing potential with no Mission Inventory. He has Feral Spirit as a card that is being played after the AoE is played. He has kind of like an AoE safeguard in form of a Nerubian Egg. So even though he wasn't that aggressive this game, it seems like at this particular turn, he has an advantage.
Yeah, and Hype needs to draw other things, like Arcane Intellect coming into hand would be really important. Molten Giant is still really far away because surprisingly, Colento hasn't been able to lay a finger on Hype so far.
What to do? What to do?
What do you ping here? Do you ping? Well, I guess he's going for the Nerubian Egg.
Yeah, that's fine because on turn 9 you will be able to ping it and then cast Flame Strike to remove everything from the board. And by the way, a shout out to our production team because right now we can see the secret being played on Mage, even though normally it will be hidden behind the overlay.
Oh wow, a healing totem.
Oh, healing totem is a really sick totem to get, especially after your opponent takes his time to ping your Nerubian Egg. So he had a plan, and now you nullify it with this totem.
All right, well, now Shaman has a big enough board where Ragnaros has low impact. You don't even have the opportunity necessarily to play 2 Ragnaroses after this because of how strong each board is. He's going to use Frost Nova, so that way Sludge Belcher has an opportunity to pick up good trades. Also, Flame Strike next turn with the hero power might allow him to clear.
Double Feral Spirit is not something you want to have right now, so I guess, yeah, it's just totem up and pass. You're waiting for this AoE to hit.
Wow, this one Sludge is really getting in the way of Hype from being able to get a strong clear. Again, Sludge Belcher overperforming in almost every department.
Yeah, I think I actually put it as the most important card in Naxxramas in my rating. Like when we were rating the Naxxramas cards, Sludge Belcher is the MVP of Naxxramas. Slowing the metagame down single-handedly. Even though, for example, like Lothab is a super strong card, Lothab is more situational, and it's only one copy in most of the decks. And Sludge Belcher, always doing a lot. Do you think like this is the Flame Strike turn? Just clear.
The problem with Flame Strike is you leave up a 4/4 and two 1/1s, and you only kill one of the 1/1s, and Sludge Belcher's vulnerable either way. He's gonna go with Ragnaros.
Oh, this is pretty ballsy.
If this hits the Rubian deck, it's gonna be disastrous.
A spider kill. It's not that good. So Colento now has an opportunity to. Can he clear this easily? There is a spell +2 spell damage, so this Lightning Storm is dealing from
4 to 5 damage.
From 4 to 5.
Yeah, you can clear. You can pretty much guarantee to clear with Lightning Storm.
Yeah, the Lightning Storm looks good. You want to one-shot the Belcher, and he does, and he hits high on both.
Well, I think either way he was going to use this Rock Biter Spectral Spider in order to kind of trade into it. So Colento okay with the low or the high roll.
Well, he can also play the Sludge Belcher, because he will be playing around the Flame Strike. And he will be getting the 4/4. So Sludge Belcher, I'd say, is a pretty cool play.
You want to play it really safe, I guess you hero power and try to bait out the Flame Strike. But if your opponent hasn't used it, are you kind of thinking, well, maybe he doesn't have it?
Well, this board has a lot of Flame Strike potential as well. Just allowing Shaman to keep the Azure Drake and a spell damage totem is really good.
Alright, Colento top decks
exactly.
a 5 damage Lightning Bolt, and that's so powerful once again.
That's why he should actually Flame Strike, I feel. Because
Forge is so strong.
Double spell damage is just too good in Shaman.
Yep, he's back at square one. He actually gained nothing. He only he traded Sludge Belcher effectively for Lightning Bolt.
Well, I feel that's the Flame Strike moment, and you have to kill the Sludge Belcher with the ping. Those Molten Giants just sitting there, not doing anything. Wait, is that it? It seems like Hype is out of spells. He only has minions now, and he can't even play.
He has Blizzard, I think.
Well, he has Blizzard still in his deck, but his hand right now is only minions. And it doesn't look good. He only has one secret, which is Ice Block. I feel like
I don't know if this can be able to be paired together, everything. Colento he doesn't have like the burst, but he's got ways to continue to put on pressure against Mage. The healing totem pretty much offsets things like his hero power. Oh,
certainly that healing totem was so important, and right now he gets a taunt.
People are gonna say give Colento miss damage, but now that he's not playing into Molten Giants, there's a very viable reason of why he's not attacking.
But this time he's actually playing around Molten Giants.
Definitely.
I feel he actually missed damage, but still there's so much going on in here. You're reading so far with all the cards that Hype can actually get and play. Do you feel like there is a second Flame Strike? What if there is a Blizzard? What if there is a Blizzard with Foulness? What are the possible cards that Hype can actually play next turn? That's what Colento's thinking.
Hype did use a lot of his freeze too, and Doomsayer is going to continue to lose value. Colento also saw Doomsayer, so he knows to save Earthshock for it. I feel like if you see Twilight Drake, as much as you might feel baited to use Earthshock, should you hold it?
I wonder.
I don't know. It's all tough questions.
Yeah, it's a tough question. Well, I feel like Earthshock is always a good card, especially if you have a board presence and you're able to push with damage. Like even Because killing Twilight Drake is cool, but you have other targets like Doomsayer, Sludge Belcher. Oh wait, this is actually Alakir is pretty interesting here. So he can silence the Doomsayer. How much damage does he have? This is 6, 10, 11.
He's got 17 damage at the moment. So he can just kill off this Doomsayer, be a little more patient, and once again set it up so that way Alec here can be the finishing blow next turn.
This is actually pretty important because Hyped has just lost 2 cards from his hand, so now he's down with 3 cards only. And Colento has a full board. Oh, the Blizzard pickup is pretty nice.
Yeah, that Blizzard is really important to freeze the damage so that way he doesn't get Ice Block pop next turn, but he still can't play Molten Giants. He's supposed to play Molten Giants and Blizzard, like Blizzard plus Doomsayer.
Colento can kind of play the stall game in here.
What to do? What to do?
And he is probably guessing that there is a couple of Molten Giants in his opponent's hand. At least one. Can't even kill the Nerubian.
Oh, not yet, but maybe next turn. Colento's still looking for ways to pair together damage. His mage deck just refuses to die. But I think it's also partially because Colento's been playing very smart and not doing excessive damage and leading into the Molten Giants here.
Also, Colento has no knowledge if there are any taunt givers. Oh, Alexstrasza.
All right, well, Alexstrasza is one way for Hype to kind of surprise kill his opponents.
Molten Giant is a smart play, by the way. It's like saying, "Hey, this is my Molten Giant. I'm tired of waiting." So if Colento takes the bait and actually attacks face, he might enable the second Molten Giant and Alexstrasza turn.
That's true. He can play Molten Giant for very cheap, and then Alexstrasza himself up back to 15.
I wonder.
Short of actually breaking the ice block. I guess you still try to clear the board in here. Doesn't get the spell damage totem. This is War of Attrition. You are just exhausting your opponent's resources.
Well, you actually are on less resources than your opponent. And with the Molten Giant coming out here and Frostbolt to hero power, Colento actually needs to have like a second Hex come out. Of course, the Taunt Totem is going to do a lot of work and deny the ability to push through it for now. But then when Sludge Belcher comes out, I don't know. There's still a chance for Hype to do this. Colento's running out of cards.
Yeah, I agree. It's actually a pretty interesting situation where Colento exhausted his own resources trying to play around those Molten Giants. But I don't think there was another way for him to actually push. And that ice block is still pretty important. Well, right now he can push, there is not a problem with that. Molten Giants are out of the way, he knows that. He still has Alakir, and if he actually gets a Rogue Biter, should be able to pop the ice block then.
Right, but then if he pops it, he still has Alexstrasza to rebound it, and then Shaman needs a second way to burst. And I think we said at the beginning of the tournament, right? Colento doesn't run Doomhammer, so Alakir is his primary way of bursting. Also, I think Hype Tassel has a second duplicate, so he has ways to kind of get more threats. And if he plays his cards correctly, what if he gets just more Molten Giants? Or more Alexstrazzas? And Shaman just keeps bouncing him back up, and he keeps bouncing back up to 15.
By the way, Alakir and Flametongue Totem is pretty nice. Have to think about this as well. Do you want to play it this way? Because then you can clear. Well, you will lose Alakir, but how important it is for you to actually clear in here? Still has a
You're
lot
still not under threat of dying, I think.
Yeah, true. So Kern is also cool. And playing Flametongue. I wonder if this is an Alakir moment. Yes, it is.
Well, he's gonna attack with Alakir first before anything else. Guess he wants to save his Defender of Argus to kind of push through the small token. And then this way he can continue to press in, but he still can't pop the ice block. Alright, well he gives up Alakir, which is one of the most important cards, and I think Hyped can save Polymorph now.
A Doomsayer
off the top.
Interesting.
This game is so scrappy now. It's basically just top deck wars with a couple of trump cards held in both
Oh my
players'
god,
hands.
and Rubinek top deck. Do you even play Karen? Okay, you don't.
I mean, you don't have to. You can take your time. Now you're still putting in pressure. Arcane Intellect off the top is very good for Hyped.
Well, but they are running out of cards, so this war of attrition it will be over soon. When they draw the last cards in their decks.
Well,
What
Arcane Intellect, actually Hyped has less cards than Kalento, at least visually.
I don't think so. I think he has a couple more. From my end, at least.
Or sorry, the other way around, I mean. So that way he doesn't have to worry about drawing too deep into his deck at the moment. You're right. Kalento looks like he has less. Alex Straza is coming out, and he's going for a win.
Well, your opponent only has one card in hand, so what is the chance he has Hex or that he will top deck a Hex?
Oh, if it was the other way around, Taunt Totem would be excellent, and he gets a Taunt Totem.
It. Well, see, he still has a Polymorph and an Arcane Intellect, so Hype, there's a lot of ways to try to win this game.
Yep, he's got Polymorph, he's got ways to push through, he plays his Twilight Drake.
Which will be devastated by the Earthshock.
Yeah, but it's a 4-3 anyways. It's not like you're holding your breath. Oh man, if he polymorphs the Taunt Totem, he can push in for 8 damage, but I can't even begin to emphasize how important it was that he got this Taunt Totem.
Kalento needs something to pop the Ice Block, by the way. Fire Elemental. Wait. He can pop the Ice Block, and he's still safe next turn, by the way.
Well, until Hype draws a second Ice Block with Arcane Intellect. This is coming down to the wire.
This game is so intense. So many options. He has to kill the 4-3, right? He needs to Earthshock it, and then attack into Jaina, and pop the Ice Block with Fire Elemental.
Well, he also can kill Alex Straza here if he feels like he really is in danger of dying. Because if he leaves up Twilight Drake, what if Hyped has Fireball? Fireball plus Alex Straza and Hero Power actually game for him.
True. And Hyped has just so many cards. You have to make an assumption that there is a chance that the Fireball is actually a card in this Mage deck. Because how many times have you seen a Mage deck without Fireballs? Kalento needs to think, like, is there a chance that there is a Fireball? He's going for Alex Straza.
What's it gonna be? He's gotta make a decision. He's gonna pop the Ice Block.
Playing to win. This is a play to win.
Alright, he says you have to have the Fireball. Down to your last few cards.
Well,
Hype is looking for a second Ice Block. He's got 4 draws to do it.
And he
Second
gets
Ice
it.
Block has appeared.
You know what's funny? If Hype actually goes into fatigue, he'll die. Because if you get a fatigue damage, Ice Block actually doesn't prevent it because it's inactive in your turn.
Oh, you're right.
Can he draw more cards in here?
Hyped is playing the removal game, but
oh my god, you know what? This Arcane Intellect might actually be a checkmate. He can't play it because then he gets fatigue damage and he dies.
I don't know how many cards are in his deck though, so it's still early to say.
It seems like 2. 2 or 3, I'd say. Like, no more than that. If there would be like... Oh my god, if he has 2 cards, he just can't play it. But even if he has 3 cards, it's still super risky because if Alex Straza is removed, you don't have a way to actually push with damage here, so you're still being dead. Hype is counting everything right now. He's taking notes.
Oh my goodness, there's probably a web on a bulletin board where like there's a bunch of papers scattered and photographs of Colento and lines drawn everywhere trying to analyze it, go CSI Minority Report, but he says all I have to do is go to the face. I think that's his best chance to win in here. But he's gonna go for the trade instead.
Well, what else is he going to do? Like, he can't play Arcane Intellect.
Oh,
Flame
and
Tongue told
Colento
him-
draws the Flame Tongue Tunnel, so he gets the best of both worlds. He can kill off Alexstrasza and go for the Ice Block pop.
Oh my god, this is sick. And he even got a 1-1 totem, which will be pretty annoying. This is it.
I don't think there's a way for Hype to win from this position unless there is Deathwing. I don't think there is. He had Frost Nova. It was one of the cards that he was counting on.
Well,
But any
Karen is
damage off the
specifically-
top from Colento is game.
Yeah, this is almost over. This is so close. Double Ice Block is out. Doesn't run Antonidas. Haunted Creeper
Nope.
is not the card. But still, Hype would need to top deck a
Oh,
Pyroblast.
the taunt totem.
Oh my god, so even the Pyroblast is not enough now. But he doesn't have a Pyroblast in his deck. This game is incredible. This is a fitting end to this incredible tournament, if it's in fact an end.
I wonder.
Colento needs one more turn to win. This Haunted Creeper is actually preventing a possible Blizzard or Flame Strike from clearing the board. Frodan,
I
this is
don't
one-
know what else is in Hype's deck. I think he has another duplicate.
I wonder.
Possibly.
And maybe one Frostbolt, but I don't think it's going to be enough to stave off all of this damage, because no matter what, there's going to be a minion with damage surviving.
Well,
Colento is really wondering if this is overextending.
I'm almost out of
duplicate, so
cards.
I guess you cast Arcane Intellect now. See what you get. And die from fatigue. There is only one card, I
Well
believe.
played.
That's it. I believe that's going to be it. Mad Scientist was the last card, and Colento is the champion of VGVN Release Tournament number 2. And it is his first tournament win, as far as I'm concerned, on the books for a premier tournament. Congratulations. Hyped. He came in with a game plan, but unfortunately just dropped way too many games in the beginning of the series. The deck is not built in order to sweep a series. And Hyped will have to go home second place. Colento finishes the tournament 17 games won and 4 games lost. The most dominating performance possible in the tournament, considering everyone else, other than the semifinals with Hyped and Trump, was an incredibly close series.
This was a sick run, and I'm actually thrilled because both Colento and Hype, they are almost qualified for BlizzCon. They are seeded in top 16 in the upcoming qualifiers, so they will only to win 2 matches to get the top 4 spot for the qualifier, and then, well, I'd love to see those players at BlizzCon fighting for the World Championship title. They definitely deserve it. They showed well, fantastic sportsmanship and preparation this tournament. Own builds, great decks, great matches, great decisions, and I'm so excited to see the future with those players in it. I feel like Hearthstone is really a great game. There's a lot of potential, a lot of skill involved, and I had a lot of fun for them. This was an amazing tournament.
We're not done yet. We want to talk a little bit about some of the upcoming stuff. If you see on the screen, VGVN number 3 will be back on September 12th. If you're watching and you want to enter the next tournament, there is an open qualifier bracket, completely free to anybody in EU and NA. All you have to do is sign up at liquidheart.com. It takes place next Sunday. Also, this is your last chance for this tournament to enter for your chance to win the Zeus Mini Cider Power PC. Just go to the link or type in giveaway in the chat and find out more information about how to win this computer hosted by VGVN and the organization that fights for video gamers' rights in America. Also, at the very end of the stream.
Yeah, I have an announcement to make as well. So the qualifier for the next VGVN tournament is next weekend. But the next VGVN tournament, the 3rd edition, is in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks from now, we will have the 3rd edition of the VGVN tournament. You can qualify for it next week, as Frodo mentioned. This will be an amazing tournament. We'll again see Colento and Hype because they qualified for it, being finalists of today's tournament. And we'll have 2 players who qualify and 4 players invited. And another amazing tournament to look forward to, and definitely tune in for that as well.
Cool. I think the last thing we want to mention is that we'll be hosting Sixo, who will be doing his legendary rush in custom for the beginning of the season right after the stream. The winner, Calento, will be doing an AMA on Liquid Heart too. So if you feel like you want to get some questions to Calento, make sure to check on the website and submit your questions for the EU Ladder God. That does it for us here at VGVN number 2 from Frodan Nimsh and the One Nations Gamer production crew. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.